at this time. The Volkswagen, I know we talked about that earlier, the Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga. That's not just a plant that you're going to say, we're going to hire 500 people to work in Chattanooga. We're going to see businesses around here, industrial parks around here that will be subcontracted to produce parts. That's something that we need to get out and we need to recruit that now. And it's something we need to prepare the city for. When I say prepare the city, we need to look, like Mr. Moore talked about, the tax structure, both the county and city. We need to focus on that and prepare ourselves. So when we do go out and recruit these businesses, they don't ride through their city street and before we get to industrial park, they say, no, thank you. It's time for us to really prepare ourselves for that. That will ultimately bring jobs to the area.
Thank you, Mr. French. Ms. Patton.
We do need to make our community attractive to industry. I do work closely with Ted Hackney, and I know that the industrial board does try, but the tax issue is a problem. So hopefully that will change.
Thank you, Ms. Patton. Mr. Robinson.
To answer this question, I see three things. I see the Manchester Industrial Park. We have over 400 acres. It's we're willing, we're ready. Let's do business. Let's do what it takes to get people in here. The other thing, we need a name brand. People need to know us. The Economic and Retail Affairs Committee goes across the nation. People know us from rockets to rock stars. That's a name that sticks. So use Bonnaroo. The other thing is we need to take advantage of the education that we have in the area. Motlow, MTSU, job training programs, and we also need to work with the state to see if they'll allow the Hope scholarships to extend to non-traditional students so that they can get more education to ease them in the transition to new jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. And we'll start with you this time, going back the other way. The next question is, a tradition was cut this year. Should Old Timers Day have been canceled, and should it return in the future?
The answer is it should not have been canceled. It should never have gone under the discretion and the running of the recreation center. They already have too much. What should have happened is a committee should have been formed by volunteers from the community that have the community in the best interest, and then that's how we should move forward with it. We should plan it to be bigger and better, and in my opinion, we should use the 150,000 visitors that we have to our town to increase our appeal and showcase the town like Old Timers Day used to be.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Ms. Patton?
No, I don't think that it should have been canceled. I don't know all the issues on why it was canceled, but I think that's a loss to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Patton. Mr. French?
I'll echo both my opponents that it should have never been canceled. This is something that it's community involvement, and community involvement is important. Community socializing is important. Events like this, we're going to see people that we may not see for a year. And socializing in the community and keeping up to date on community events is something that Old Timers Day has offered. It's something that we can take under wing and really improve and promote. I know a couple of my opponents have got some really good structured ideas of how we can promote this and make this a lot better event. I think correlating it with Bonnaroo is something that is a no-brainer. It's the same time of year. Let's not only make it a great event, but let's make it better than it's ever been before instead of canceling it. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. French. Mr. Moore?
Well, I regret the fact that it was canceled, and I actually have a lot to say on this issue, so for time constraints, if anyone wants to speak with me afterwards, I would love to do that. But essentially, Old Timers Day has just been lost in the shuffle. It's been passed from different areas, different people overseeing having the Old Timers Day parade. And to me, it gives us a great opportunity, again, to fold that into a new brand for Manchester. Bonnaroo made the commitment, and it was a large commitment, to actually purchase property here.
30 seconds.
And they're going to try to have a number of festivals each year. Winchester has the Dogwood Festival. They incorporate a lot of music, and I think we could garner some ideas from what they do. But essentially, if you got back to the 3 Bs, bed races, barbecues, and ball game, or bluegrass, I think that would suffice a lot of people. So if we start with those basic tenets, those old-time traditions that made Old Timers Day, and build with some new ideas and thoughts, I think it can be successful again.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Time for just one more question. Ms. Patton, we'll start with you on this one. Budgets are always difficult. Do you have any ideas on things that might help cut costs when it comes to budget time?
I think if everyone would focus on their needs versus their wants, that everybody would be a lot better off.
Thank you, Ms. Patton. Mr. Robinson, how about you?
Yeah, it does come down to prioritizing. There needs to be clear direction on what we're going to take. You know, there is wants and there's needs, and we need to clearly identify those needs. You know, the biggest part of our budget is personnel, and I think you'll find that statewide. I think you'll find that on the state level. You'll find that on the national level. You certainly don't want to cut personnel, so this is where you get into prioritizing your needs. Do we need a $100,000 salt barn? I think not. We use salt 3 days out of the year, so there's $100,000 right there that we could have cut out of. But you have to look at what's needed and what's wanted, and clearly prioritize between the two, and quit letting emotion control where you go with the budget instead of logic.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Moore?
We simply need to broaden the scope with which we make decisions. I think any decision that you make from a municipal level, whether positive or negative, carry several multiples, either positive or negative. There's never just the bottom line initial cost that you see written down on a piece of paper. We live in global times, and there are many multiples that go into that. So just taking a broader, more independent look at whatever's in the budget, and just making reasoned, rational decisions. You can reasonably look and see, well, we can make economies here or there. And so it's just going to have to, we're going to have to take a more pragmatic instead of idealistic approach until we right our financial ship and couple that with new industry so that we can get into more things like sidewalks and recycling and things of that nature that not only further encourage business but raise the quality of life for the citizens of Manchester.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. French, you have the final word.
Yeah, this is a really good question. I think, first of all, as a government, we've got to tighten our belts. When times get tough, gas prices go up to $4 a gallon. Everybody in this room has had to tighten their belt or cut something back, and the government has to do the same thing. Prioritizing is something that is dramatically important for the fact that there are issues. If you sit down and look at the budget, and again, just like last week, I encourage everyone to go to City Hall, get a copy of the budget. It's public record, get a copy of it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to sit down and cut things out that we don't need. We're in a time now that we need to focus on what this community needs, not necessarily what we want. And I think that's important. And like I said, I encourage everybody to go down there. And if you don't want to go to City Hall, I'm more than welcome you to call me, and I'll send you a copy of it in the mail. We've got things, I know last year we started with a balanced budget and we ended up with a $500,000 deficit. So this year we're going to start with a $286,000 deficit, which by the way was passed over a vote 5-1. Where are we going to end up at the end of the year? Where are our reserves going to be in a year or 2 years from now? And then when our reserves run out, where's the city going to get the money? We can't afford another tax increase. We're already the 8th highest tax city in the state. Bar that with high county taxes, we've got to work now and tighten our belts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your candidates for Alderman in the city of Manchester. Ms. Patton, gentlemen, good luck. On the radio, we'll be back to wrap up the 2008 Political Forum live from the Manchester Coffee County Conference Center here on Thunder Radio, AM 1320, FM 107.9, and FM 105.